Hi, have you ever wondered why there is so much disproportionate coverage over transgender athletes when there aren't even that many transgender people, much less athletes, in the United States to begin with? Why is such a marginal, hyper-specific group of very young people given so much national coverage when the scale of the disruption and the violence happening all around the world and internally within the United States is massive? There's so much other shit you could be talking about. Why are we so concerned which genitals are on which division of the local collegiate tennis team in Louisville, Kentucky? Why is this the news? I don't care about this. Nobody cares about this. The public conversation around transgender athletes has been meticulously and exhaustively drug out by the right-wing media and right-wing politicians.
Ms. Goss-Graves, do women have penises?
As both a convenient and consistent distraction from war crimes occurring daily in Gaza, or even the destruction of the economy and violence happening domestically, which goes hand in hand with the dissolution of civil liberties like, freedom of speech, right to assembly, due process, among others. And don't forget, war with Iran is still very much on the table. And now the Trump administration is desperate for everyone to forget about the Epstein files.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals? I don't know, I have a feeling Fox News and the right in general might just be talking about the transgender madness a little longer than you think. I went to the doctor, he said I had gender madness. It's chronic. And especially as more protests continue to manifest across the country in resistance to the administration, as the approval rating continues to sink on multiple different issues, and in light of the Supreme Court's recent upholding of Tennessee's statewide ban on gender-affirming care for minors, there might even be more right-wing coverage of the trans madness than ever before, which is just what everybody wanted. There's a lot more to cover, but before I get into it, here's a quick word from today's video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Listen, I don't know who designed Riley Gaines's website. It's not good. But if there's anything on here that puts my data and my cybersecurity at risk, I don't want Riley to get any of my information. That's why I use Surfshark VPN for my online privacy and security. A VPN allows you to browse the internet securely by logging into servers in other countries and encrypting your data to keep it safe from hackers or data breaches. If you've ever used public Wi-Fi while traveling, VPNs are a must to stay protected. But Surfshark also gives you access to censored content, shopping websites with better prices than American ones, and even the ability to watch movies or TV shows not available in your region. Surfshark VPN provides fast, safe, and secure protection for unlimited devices. It also comes with Surfshark's antivirus built in, so you can be sure you're scrolling safely no matter where you are. Yeah, take that, Riley. No swiping my data. No hacking my mainframe. Surfshark stands out from the rest with top-grade encryption and compliance with the strictest cybersecurity measures, and it even comes built in with an ad blocker. So there's really no reason not to shark it up. Come on, guys, shark it up. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if it's not for you, you can get your money back as well. If any of this sounds good to you, go to surfshark.com/EdenRiley or use code EdenRiley at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN added on top of your plan absolutely free. If you haven't tried a VPN service yet and you're curious, now's a good time. This is a really good deal and it helps out the channel if you're interested in supporting. Again, go to surfshark.com/EdenRiley or use code EdenRiley for 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN added to your plan absolutely free. Thank you so much to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring the channel. Let's get back to it. We know that this conversation is bullshit. It's a wedge issue, and not to mention there are like 12 trans athletes in the entire country, and none of the policies passed to legislate against them actually protect women or children. In fact, in many, if not all cases, it's just the opposite. These right-wing transphobic policies put women and children in danger, like institutionally. Despite that, mediocre, joyless, cynical, and desperate cisgendered women in right-wing media circles seem eager to pile on the trans women, especially when it comes to talking about athletics, because I guess they see it as an easy target to spread their dumbass agenda. One of the most prominent women at the forefront of anti-trans propaganda in sports is Riley Gaines, a former NCAA women's swimmer who one time tied for 5th place with a woman who happened to be trans, Leah Thomas. This was, of course, for Riley akin to a war crime. The NCAA didn't even have 2 5th place trophies. She had to hold the 6th place trophy, and they had to mail her the 5th place trophy later.
And honestly, I think the NCAA handled everything extremely poorly, starting from when we finished and I went behind the podium to collect my 5th place trophy, and they kind of blatantly told me that Leah would hold the 5th place trophy, and that I could pose with the 6th place trophy for photos, and would be mailed a 5th place trophy in the mail.
And it's amazing that she survived this. Putting Riley to the side for a second, I think it's important to ask the question, why sports? Of all the ways to target transgender people in America, sports is a little specific. The main motive is typical. It's to alienate trans people. And right-wingers have deployed different tactics to get people on board with their bad faith rationalizations, like the bathroom discourse. Bringing up these hyper-specific and often perverted examples is meant to kind of sow doubt into the minds of liberals and get them thinking about things that they otherwise wouldn't think about because they're not weirdly obsessed. But when they do start thinking about them, they get really confused and they don't know which bathroom a trans woman should go into. They get scared thinking about it. This works on not just liberals, but otherwise well-intentioned people too. They just want to make cis people think that trans people are somehow different than just women or men or however they identify. They can't use the same bathrooms or join the same sports teams. They should just go away forever. Or make their own, I guess. Whichever works. Whichever's easier. And arguments about how trans women are somehow more advantaged in athletics are everywhere. Even the president has an entire, I guess, stand-up routine mocking trans athletes in sports.
They put a half an ounce here, half little tiny ring on top of these big barbells, dumbbells. And they go, and she went like this. And her mother and father are screaming, "You got it! You got it, darling. I'm so proud of my girl." Well, she couldn't do it. And then this guy comes along. He's named Alice, and he looks at the weight. World record, world record.
He's been doing this for like 5 years. His first ever speech after leaving office in 2020 included this bit.
You know, for years, the weightlifting, every ounce is like a big deal for many years. All of a sudden, somebody comes along and beats it by 100 pounds. Boom, boom.
And he did it as recently as 2 or 3 months ago.
Now, you look at the weightlifting where 18 years it stands. The record stood for 18, think of it, 18 years. And they put an eighth of an ounce here and an eighth of an ounce here, little tiny little bit. And she's going to do it. "Mom, I love you. I'm going to do it for you, Mom." And she goes, and she lifts, and she gets it. And, "Mom, I'm going to do it, Mom." Can't do it. And then a guy comes along, or a gal, or whatever. A transitioned person comes along, 206 pounds. They put the little thing on, and he goes, boom, boom. And breaks the record like by 119 pounds.
Okay, he's actually mocking cis women here, but you're not supposed to, I guess, pay attention to that. Women can't lift weights. They're not strong enough. They don't know how to do it. Women, don't worry. Donald Trump is here to protect you. He knows you're so weak and feeble and fragile. It's funny because it's kind of like if a kindergartner tried to make a biological essentialist argument because it's anti-scientific. Men are big and small and women weak and tiny. Chromosomes dictate this. Part of the reason right-wingers use sports against trans people is also because a lot of people watch sports. Team sports, combat sports, Olympic sports, there's a lot of them. But you know, people watch this stuff on their TV and phone. And therefore many think that they have the skills and experience necessary to determine what the rules should be, especially when trans women are involved. Take this incident with a transgender fencer, for example, where her cis opponent dropped out after accepting the match, even though fencing is a co-ed sport.
I just got really sad and I started crying because this was like the last thing I wanted to deal with in my competition.
Like, sorry, this is just transphobia. She doesn't have any advantage against you. It just proves how easy it is to get national attention, strictly from just not wanting to participate with trans people. Really gross behavior. You instantly get a fucking interview on Fox News and get to testify in front of the House of Representatives and treated like the victim because you were being prejudiced and bigoted. There's another question I think is also very important to ask when it comes to Riley Gaines and the narrative around trans people in sports in general. Why is there such a focus on swimming? I think part of the focus is fetishistic. Athletic swimmers obviously wear very revealing single-piece swimsuits to compete. And as gross as it is to even acknowledge that this happens, transphobes do objectively love zooming in on both cis and trans women's groins to analyze if they're trans. And most of the time, they still get it wrong. Maybe because of Riley Gaines, there's a focus on women swimming. But either way, Riley Gaines has risen to be a prominent figure in right-wing media because of her transphobic attacks on Leah Thomas after tying with her for 5th place. Of course, Riley did not stop there. Nowadays, she's going on Fox News talking about how transgender is a pedophile cult.
I think the scarier thing here is there are no limits, right? We should be asking ourselves what's next. If we are willing to deny sex, okay, are we willing to deny age? Which I personally believe this is the direction that's going. I believe the gender ideology movement as a whole really is an attempt to normalize pedophilia across the board, and I think that's what we're seeing with this movement.
Man, you get 5th place once, and then I guess you discover the Illuminati. Crazy how that works. Now, Riley has actually earned herself multiple SEC championship medals, which are definitely real and valid accomplishments in collegiate athletics. But to be honest, her own behavior and her own priorities have completely tarnished that very record, ironically enough. Riley Gaines is not known for her athletics, and probably never will be. She's a tool for more powerful interests, and she chose to do this to herself. And even though Riley initially said she supported Leah Thomas and her transition, she still blamed the NCAA's rules for even allowing her to be there in the first place, which is honestly the most fucking pussy shit I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, you know, she swam really hard, but if she wasn't there, then I would also be in 5th place? The rules are the problem. But of course, it didn't take her long to fold completely on the respectability politics and start calling trans people child abusers. In my opinion, part of why Riley Gaines was so quickly successful with her right-wing grift is how quickly she adapted to the tenacity and the slanderous nature of transphobic talking points online. But the funding and the PR from the Leadership Institute probably didn't hurt. If you don't know, the Leadership Institute is an organization funded by the Kochs and Morton Blackwell, a guy who definitely doesn't look like an 1800s railroad magnate. The Leadership Institute, which Morton Blackwell founded and runs, launched the Riley Gaines Center on its campus. Their website says, "The Riley Gaines Center will protect the female identity, affirm the basic biological truth that men are men and women are women, and defend freedom of speech." Sorry, that was just a really funny run-on sentence to me. Men are men, women are women, and defend free speech. The 3 genders. Get over it, liberals. It will also provide support, training, and resources to those who want to defend women's identity and uphold vital truths, building a coalition of women, men, student athletes, parents, and those who have been harmed by radical transgender ideology. Initiatives include identifying, recruiting, training, mentoring, and empowering students, athletes, and parents across the country to become campus, community, and national leaders. God, it's a literal Riley Gaines factory. The Riley Gaines Center. Pumping them out on a fucking conveyor belt. I mean, is it any more obvious? Leftists don't get this shit. No leftist online is getting their talking points from a foundation named after them, owned by a billionaire, providing PR, talking points, and fucking Fox News daytime TV slots. My third important question for this video is, why Leah Thomas? Leah Thomas became a target of right-wing media for months, and still, to some degree, is. The rampant abuse and transphobia that Riley Gaines enabled and propagated with her Cry Bully tour that still goes on to this day is fucking repulsive. It's gross. She felt the need to talk about seeing Leah's genitals.
In addition to losing out on opportunities to Thomas, we also had to share a locker room and change in front of this 6'4", fully intact, naked male.
Which is just public humiliation and sexual harassment, by the way. But not surprising from these fucking guys. Here's the Daily Wire calling Leah Thomas satanic.
Are some of the things they do satanic, would you say?
Yes.
Okay. Really? Not surprised by that.
They practice these satanic things based off of the posts and based off of the content that they like on social media. It's very, very just bizarre.
Fox News also had these fucking people on with shirts that said, "Women's sports matter." No, these are real fucking caring individuals, really empathetic people. And basically every conservative online thought they were the first person to think of making a joke about what if a big man was swimming against a woman? She would get fucking destroyed, no matter what. I mean, not to bring up the Trump thing again, but in one of his speeches where he mentions Riley Gaines, at least I think he's talking about Riley Gaines, I don't know if he knows who he's talking about, he was joking, but he implies that Leah Thomas swum so fast that Riley Gaines was injured.
The swimmer you know about, right? The swimmer. She's a great swimmer, great swimmer. She's going for the world record. She looked up and down. She sees young ladies that she grew up with. They're all great swimmers. They've been from the time they were born, frankly, because That's the way it is. She looked up, she sees her friend, she looks down, then she looked to her right, and there's this huge person with a wingspan. He was built like this. She was built, I'm sorry, like this. Most perfect body. I wish I had a body like that. I would have been president 20 years ago if I had this body. It comes down like this. And you know the young lady was very seriously injured. You know that, right? Windburn! Because he went by her so fast. The wind was so great. She got a bad windburn, but she'll be okay. Now, do you think, does anybody really believe what's going on in this country?
She got windburn. Women are just too fucking bad at sports and fragile. A man could swim next to one and they get hurt. These guys are fighting for women. They care so much about women. Lift you up by the pussy. That's his motto. Now, Riley does have a particular grudge against Leah for what I think has to be a personal reason. If you look through Gaines's record, her highest place achievement in a Division I swimming competition was the race where she tied with Leah Thomas.
My story is by now well known. I was a student at University of Kentucky, where I was also a member of the women's swim team, finishing my collegiate career as a 12-time NCAA All-American, a 5-time SEC champion, still the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time.
And as many of us know, she was then given the 6th place trophy to hold during a photo op at the end. And according to Riley, her main gripe is not getting a good enough answer as to why she couldn't hold the 5th place trophy and Leah hold the 6th place trophy.
Despite tying down to the 100th with Thomas in the 200 freestyle, I was denied the trophy because the NCAA claimed it was necessary for Thomas to hold the trophy when photos were being taken.
Which, if you really think about it, is a lot like Hitler's Germany. This fucking comes across as a parody of itself, but it does make a little more sense that this was Riley's best time in a Division I competition. But of course, a trans woman tied for that best time. So I think she clearly felt a little outshone.
I came back my senior year, and I knew I could accomplish even more than I had my junior year. And this is when I really set a goal to become a national champion. About halfway through my senior year, I was on pace to do so. I was ranked 3rd in the country. The swimmer who was ranked 1st was a swimmer I had never heard of before. And of course, this was the first time that I became aware of a swimmer named Leah Thomas. And so unbeknownst to me at the time, this was a male. There's a lot of head scratching going on.
And rather than being a good sport about it, which she was to every other woman she lost to, the 4 other ones, she threw a generational hateful tantrum because she feels like Leah Thomas shouldn't have been there. Again, even though she still would have gotten 5th place. She just would have been able to hold the trophy for the photo. They mailed her a 5th place trophy later, by the way. Like, they gave her one. It's not like she was robbed of anything other than a picture. It's just bad sportsmanship. I never played collegiate athletics, but I swam in high school. And I feel like this should be pretty easily condemned by every collegiate sports association across the board. I feel like the first thing they teach you in competitive sports is to be a good sport. Sportsmanship is enforced in a lot of professional sports like tennis. You can get punished for not being sportsmanlike. And I think that's pretty fair. I also like hockey, where they get to punch each other. That is also allowed. The fact that this is even a conversation, and in such clear bad faith, I think speaks to a deeply ingrained transphobic bias that a lot of people have, and how easy it is to otherize trans people because of that bias. I feel like people like Riley Gaines know how to gum up the system a little bit. Call the manager who doesn't really give a shit about trans people and isn't gonna die on this hill when they're getting Karen'd by some annoying ass lady. And I do think that's also part of the problem. The people who should have defended Leah Thomas should have defended her harder. There should have been more people coming to Leah Thomas's defense and shutting down Riley Gaines before she caught the momentum that she has now. And it's ultimately really ironic because trans women like Leah Thomas are disadvantaged by being on hormones. When it comes to sports, many trans women are. But transphobic propaganda doesn't exist in reality. It exists in a fucking fictional world that conservatives dictate the rules to.
Studies consistently show males have about a 10 to 12% athletic advantage over females. This gap is evident in almost every sport and at every level of competition. Yes, hormone therapy can narrow this gap, but it cannot close it. And studies consistently demonstrate that surgery and testosterone suppression do not reduce male athletic performance to normal female levels.
I want to be very clear. It is not true that trans women have an overall biological advantage in sport. That is deeply rooted in misogyny. Against cis women primarily, and transphobia to trans women. Maybe the fucking windburn jostle her fucking head around. She's stupid now. Leah Thomas swam fucking Mach 10 past her. Still got 5th place.
This seems like cheating to allow someone with a biological advantage to compete.
Exactly. I think there's, a difference between your sex and your gender identity. And so I think that it's just been totally misconstrued and lost, you know, in the past couple years or so, but it's, you know, finally gotten to the point where it's being shown and it's completely violating women and women's rights, especially in sports.
There is no factual evidence to support the fact that trans women have a biological advantage in sports. I'm not joking. This is a vibes-based opinion that is obviously criminally understudied, but right-wingers know that there's no data to support what they're saying, but they know that there's very limited data to counter what they're saying at the same time. But there is no reason to concede to this stupid, fake, bullshit talking point that trans women shouldn't be able to participate in women's sports like any other cis woman can. After losing to Leah Thomas, Riley Gaines retired from athletics and became a full-time podcaster. Big goddamn surprise. Her podcast is called Gaines for Girls. And trans women are not allowed to watch it. Gains for cis girls. Other than that, she does frequent Fox News guest appearances. And she made this insane website. Riley Gaines, athlete, advocate. That is impact font. That is top text, bottom text font. Also, your signature looks like shit. Riley Gaines. And now she's having a baby girl. Gains for girls, pregnant with a girl. Because God is so good. All the time. I didn't even mean to wear this shirt. This is just a fucking coincidence. Maybe it's proof that God's real. God is real, Riley Gaines. He hates you and your baby, he told me. I love treating gender just a little bit like a threat. My kid will be a girl, and if she's not, the implication of that is a little crazy to me. I mean, I guess trans women not being able to get pregnant means that they can play more sports and win all the medals. This is unfair and should be punishable by law, I think. Lock me up, officer. I just showed up to basketball. I'm dunking on Caitlin Clark, and I got no baby in me. I'm sorry, I thought we were all about efficiency now. Unfortunately, Leah Thomas is not the only trans woman that has faced this kind of harassment just for wanting to participate in sports fairly. There's an entire website dedicated to pointing out cis women that have lost to trans women, the Grifter Encyclopedia, called SheWon.com. She won.
I mean, obviously they didn't mean it like this, but if you look at it like they're gendering the trans girls correctly, yeah, she did win. I thought this was sports. I thought it was about who's the best. To learn more about the male athletes competing in women's sports, please visit hecheated.org. They cheated. A record of males who have robbed female athletes of success and opportunities in sports and the organizations who have helped to do them so. Different sports, same story. A boy pretends to be a girl. His parents conceal his sex and lie to his fellow classmates and parents. He joins a girls' athletics team and proceeds to excel, dominating the competition. Every time, I guess. Every single time. They're just too good. An adult man says he's a woman. He joins a women's team. He's immediately bombarded with praise, featured in newspaper and magazine articles, given interviews and TV spots, uplifted as a courageous pioneer in athletics, despite doing nothing more than joining a team where he doesn't belong, where he would have been criticized and ridiculed by those same media outlets and civil rights groups if he hadn't spoken the magic words, "I'm a woman." First of all, this never happened. This is hypothetical because this is a fake thing. Because he said those magic words, he's suddenly a marginalized minority. I don't trust that not to be a race thing. These people are always really racist. Let's take a look at this fucking stolen record of stolen trophies and medals and lives and careers. Esports? First of all, I searched ball. It gave me the one sport with no ball. The search engine sucks. What she could have won? Gold medal. Georgia Peplau lost to a trans esports player in eFootball. Why do you need to separate esports by gender? That doesn't even make sense. And what advantage would trans people have? Trans women are just better than cis women. Cis women are just not good at anything. At soccer, track and field, pickleball. Again, I looked up ball and it gave me track and field. The fuck is this website? Analysis. Number of women by sport. It won't let me click it. It's not even there. Disc golf. Roller skating? Running is over here, but distance running is over here. Skateboarding. None of these make sense. Cycling, Irish dance, of course. Trans people are just naturally better at those kinds of things. Oh, this is so pathetic. All the people who would have won if not for a trans person participating, implying that their participation makes everyone do worse? Darts? I don't know what to tell you, dude. Trans people can just throw the dart really hard. Paragliding? Come on! That's just a joke at that point. Paragliding! These people are out of their minds. This is so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Just stop. Just find a fucking better hobby than this.
This website is really fucking stupid, by the way. And it includes a fuck ton of sports that are not gendered at all, like frisbee golf, which transphobes are very into for some reason. Poker. surfing, croquet. There's no cornhole. I guess because trans women aren't good at it? I don't know. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver actually did a really good job taking down this website as a completely fucking bogus source. And they responded on Twitter with a 15 tweet thread. Jesus, just screenshot your notes app or something. I'm not reading all this.
Oh my god, this is so long, dude. How do you do this? She Won recently made an appearance on Last Week Tonight. John Oliver stuck to his tired recipe, dishonest sanctimony wrapped in a thick coating of self-deprecation, all the easier to swallow. What the fuck are you talking about, you weirdo? So you didn't like him already to begin with. You don't exactly seem like the most honest broker here. This time about male athletes in women's sports, and specifically about our organization. First, John Oliver leads his viewers to believe that content on shewon.org is directly published by random people on the internet. This is totally false. We encourage people to submit tips, and our team of volunteers reviews each entry before we publish anything, and their volunteers are definitely not random people on the internet. They're fucking certified in sports genders. John Oliver also suggests our data is stale, mentioning that it dates back to the year 2001. This is extraordinarily misleading. 97% of our data is dated no earlier than 2014. 86% is 2019 and onward. He didn't lie, though. Extraordinarily misleading. It's the truth. John Oliver attacks our org to discredit the idea that a significant number of women are displaced by male athletes in women's competitions. This is absurd because She Won does not purport to provide a comprehensive list of every woman denied a medal to male athletes. On the contrary, we are a tiny organization run by volunteers. The database we compile is most certainly the tip of the iceberg. Well, oh my god. It's exaggerated and bullshit. And they're like, oh, it's even worse than this. You don't even know how many darts tournaments trans people are fucking ruining. The sad truth is that no media outlet has seriously investigated the scope of this problem, and sporting organizations are more often than not hostile to providing any data about males and female competition, because it doesn't happen. They're hostile because you're weird. Oliver quibbles with our tally. One male winner displaces second, third, and fourth place women, which counts as 3 medals lost. We see no issue with this methodology. 3 medals were lost. If the trans person wasn't there, everyone else wouldn't magically be faster. The unfortunate truth is we're severely undercounting the number of affected women. Yeah, you know what? Add fucking 5-6 more medals. In a recent hearing, a high school girl recounts how she was deliberately and explicitly replaced by a male athlete on her cross-country team. Tell me again how girls and women aren't being erased? She is at the California State Assembly. She is on public television testifying to the California State Assembly. She should be less visible than she is now. If you don't want to get removed from your cross-country team and replaced, run a little faster. I don't know what to tell you. You suck. There's another silent toll. Women who never enter the game, knowing the game's rigged, or unwilling to undress besides a naked man in the locker room. The whole point of locker rooms is to not look at everyone else, is to change your clothes and to shower. You're not supposed to be looking at other people and being like, let me make sure everyone's genitals are right. It's such an illogical thing to try to like fearmonger over, because it also implies if they look at trans women like men, then it just implies that men are inherently dangerous, which is misandry. Looks like you're a misandrist. And it looks like we're finally on the same side. What the fuck, man? Where's all the men's mental health posts about this shit? John Oliver makes an extraordinary effort to paint this issue as left versus right. He goes out of his way to frame the young advocates he's chosen to focus on as far-right conservatives. Yeah, what? Of course they are. Showing countless clips of them being interviewed on Fox News when he's not ridiculing their athletic ability. Yeah, they're really good. They're not mad because they suck. They're mad because they're transphobic. And they're not right-wing. What the fuck is this thread? Why did I read this?
You might have seen recently that Riley Gaines got into a controversy with Simone Biles, and I have a lot of fucking shit to fucking say about this. It's genuinely fucking sickening how Riley Gaines got away with what initially started this. Riley Gaines found a high school with a trans softball player and publicly harassed the high school softball team. You have to be, and I'm not even joking, a criminal pervert to do stuff like this. You're going to the prison at the core of the earth. Now, Simone Biles rightfully called out what Riley Gaines was doing, saying, you're truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans athletes feel safe in sports. Maybe a transgender category in all sports, but instead you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around, which is completely fair and true. Her suggestions are a little all over over the place, but it just goes to show that Riley Gaines doesn't actually care about finding a solution and just wants to be cruel for the sake of cruelty. Simone Biles followed up with bully someone your own size, which would unironically be a male. And you could tell this struck a nerve, not just with Riley, but with the broader conservative movement as a whole. Literally since the moment Simone Biles posted this, Riley has been shitting herself and crying about how mean Simone Biles was to her and how disappointed she is. You need to do better, says the person who was bullying a child. She said, "This is actually so disappointing. It's not my job or the job of any woman to figure out how to include men in our spaces. Again, high school softball. You can uplift men stealing championships in women's sports with your platform. Men don't belong in women's sports, and I say that with my full chest. You are a fucking sick human being. Like, genuinely, dude." And of course, Riley Gaines also made a fucking stupid car rant in her cyber truck. It looks like shit, Riley. It's as ugly as you are. You're fucking made for each other.
I guess in an attempt to be inclusive and virtuous, decided to sell out all women and girls who have dreams to achieve and to succeed, and to specifically personally attack and body shame me.
Your jawline looks like a Cybertruck. And because this is about women's sports and, you know, how sacred it is, Riley Gaines has to pretend like she respects Simone Biles' athletic career, which if she actually did respect Simone, she wouldn't have called her a sellout to all women and girls and consistently attacked her online.
It was never the personal attacks that bothered me. It was more so just how willing and quick she was able to and willing to throw under the bus so many young girls who have dreams to achieve and succeed just like she did.
After Riley Gaines sicked her disgusting fan base on Simone Biles, she eventually caved and apologized. I wanted to follow up from my last tweets. I've always believed competitive equity and inclusivity are both essential in sports. The current system doesn't adequately balance these important principles, which often leads to frustration and heated exchanges, and it didn't help for me to get personal with Riley, which I apologize for. These are sensitive, complicated issues that I truly don't have the answers or solutions to, but I believe it starts with empathy and respect. I was not advocating for policies that compromise fairness in women's sports. My objection is to be singling out children for public scrutiny in ways that feel personal and harmful. Individual athletes, especially kids, should never be the focus of criticism of a flawed system they have no control over. I believe sports organizations have a responsibility to come up with rules supporting inclusion while maintaining fair competition. We all want a future for sports that is fair, inclusive, and respectful. First of all, that's not even true. Riley Gaines does not want a fair, inclusive, or respectful sports. She wants to eliminate trans people from it entirely.
Nonetheless, I accept her apology. I see this truthfully as a really big win. You have this really famous public figure who is now issuing a groveling public apology and backtracks after, again, tweeting pro-trans propaganda, if you will. This scenario would have been unthinkable a year, certainly 2 years ago.
Which to me, not super fair. I know a way to eliminate trans women from sports. Be better than them. Train harder, loser. 4 other cis women beat Leah Thomas, why couldn't she? It's good that Simone brought up that Riley Gaines started this by attacking a child completely unprompted, but the respectability politics and the niceties are nauseating to me when that is the catalyst. And Riley Gaines is leveraging those niceties and politeness to coerce an apology out of Simone Biles. It gives credibility to her argument and allows her to look like she's taking the high road when she's been slandering trans people on national television for months.
Even taking puberty blockers before the age of 12, there are still advantages that males possess over females. And even if they didn't, it's the women's category. Yeah. It's not for men. So
shut up, Riley. You look like a thwomp from Mario. I'm not saying this is a rule, but a law of engagement with Republicans and conservatives in general, especially transphobes. Do not apologize to dishonest, bad faith bigots. Do not apologize to right-wingers. They are wrong. They don't want you to apologize to establish more clear and effective communication or a better relationship. They want you to apologize to leverage their argument and weaken your position, sometimes at the cost of kids. It's never worth it. And Riley, if you're somehow watching, you're a bad person. You're a liar, you're a fraud, and you're mean. You should be doing a fucking apology tour for the child and multiple other women you've slandered and bullied just for playing sports, just for wanting the same experience that you had and the same opportunities that you had. Playing sports because they want to, despite the environment that you contribute to that continues to make it not only hostile, but unsafe. But you're too busy reveling in an apology that you didn't deserve. But you're the good guys at the end of the day, right? So it doesn't matter what you do. it's always for the good reasons. Riley Gaines has been on a right-wing media tour for basically her entire public career. The creepy billionaire money does help with that, for sure, but she's also made herself very useful for the right, and she knows it. She's been on Tucker Carlson, of course, The Daily Wire, like fucking 17 times or something, numerous Turning Point USA and Turning Point UK speaking events, and she was interviewed by Stephen A. Smith and Joe Rogan, among others. Luckily for her, no one that has interviewed her is particularly bright or like a good interviewer or reporter at all, so she's managed to keep her brand afloat for now. And yeah, she's here to tell the same story and rattle the same talking points off every time.
You have your back turned, again, putting on your suit, and all of a sudden, you hear a man's voice in that locker room. You turn around, you look up because he's so tall, and there's a 6'4" man undressing, taking off his women's swimsuit and putting on his street clothes.
Wow.
Again, picture it. You're in a swimming locker room, which there's no stalls necessarily. It's just a big open space. You're under the shower head, you're showering, and there is a 6'4" naked man standing fully naked, fully intact, watching you shower where you are simultaneously fully undressed.
I mean, even she doesn't care about her record that much. The people who report her story get it wrong all the time, and she doesn't even try to correct them.
I remember the first time I met you, and it brought me to tears because you shared with me what it felt like not to hold a gold medal because you were in first place, but to be told that you tied. You'll have to settle for it just with that delineation on it. What happens now?
We will see. Hopefully this sets a precedent for more institutions at every single level.
Yeah, Leah Thomas won the gold medal from Riley Gaines and stole it from her and stole her house too and her weird husband too. Riley Gaines regularly is a guest on right-wing media shows. They had her on so she could flaunt her apology from Simone Biles, and she did this multiple times. And this is exactly why you should never even give them this opportunity. This is exactly what every right-winger would do the moment you apologize. They fucking brag about it and try to shame you even though you apologized. And remember, Simone Biles only ever came for Riley Gaines because she was bullying a high schooler. Interesting that Riley Gaines didn't get a ton of backlash for that. Or even for gloating the apology. Why would you apologize to somebody who's just gonna gloat about it? Apologizing to these people is only giving them more ammunition and more clearance to target increasingly marginalized and vulnerable people. And the only reason she has this platform at all is to distract from the real issues affecting more people than even play sports in schools at all. Even now, amid their Epstein Files scandal, the Trump administration is trying to drum up more anti-trans sentiment.
And today, the Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against California Department of Education and the governing body for women's sports in California. We've made it very clear, only women in women's sports under Title IX. An example in California, a boy who was in track and field. He would have lost every race. Yet in women's sports, he won over 36 medals. Those medals should be returned to the women.
It couldn't be clearer that this is a distraction from the real issues affecting the country. It's so embarrassing, and it's not even working. Even right-wingers can see through this. Listen, in my opinion, all sports are made worse by dividing them into gendered leagues, rather than by athletic ability or even weight class. Abolishing any kind of division in sports would allow more people to participate, not less, and less people would get propped up in the media for beating down and bullying fellow athletes. Riley Gaines exists for one reason and one reason only: to perpetuate the idea that even the most skilled and accomplished woman is inherently weaker and less capable than even the weakest, least accomplished man. She is there to tell all women, you can't do it. There will always be someone better than you, simply because they have a weenor. I guess you should just have babies instead of doing sports, because they're full of trans people now. Riley Gaines is a selfish, manipulative grifter. And a liar. And like many other transphobic snake oil saleswomen, she's deluded herself into thinking that she's fighting a righteous war against ontologically evil trespassers. And she has no shortage of delusional backup for this ridiculous self-inflicted battle. It's really not that deep. You are not Master Chief. I am Master Chief. What's especially disturbing is how far the current administration is willing to go to use federal funding to strong-arm universities into doing things like revoking Leah Thomas's win and apologizing to Riley Gaines. And what does Riley do in response to this but immediately gloat and attack Leah, even when she's getting everything she wants. It's not even close to a stretch to say that Riley Gaines is a terrible example for young athletes and for women in general. Though what I find particularly revolting is how quickly Democratic strategists, liberals, or even supposed allies took to this exclusionary and cruel messaging from the right, even going so far as to try to blame trans people for Donald Trump's 2024 election win. I don't even know if I have enough words available to me to explain how stupid that is. Solidarity is the only way forward if you care about people at all, and leaving behind trans people, especially only to make room for cynical, compromised agents of right-wing influence, is a surefire way to sabotage any kind of future progress. Riley wants to be the new generation's Anita Bryant, but for trans people, which is seemingly a fucking cheat code to right-wing influence. Anita Bryant also believed she was fighting a spiritual war for the children of this country and the sanctity of gender, but is now widely remembered as a bitter, hateful, ineffective, washed-up celebrity. And Riley's gonna get that same treatment long after she's gone too. As much as I know that right-wing media is not gonna willingly let this issue go, I think it will increasingly be an ineffective wedge issue, and the results will speak for themselves. But I don't know, we'll see. Fuck you, Riley Gaines. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click the like button or subscribe to see more videos like this. You can also click the notification bell and all notifications. You'll see my videos, all of them. Make sure to follow all my socials down below and subscribe to my second channel where I post little side quest videos and highlights from stream. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.